What's up, family? Gerald the Bossman here. You're tuned into the Bossman Show on AM 1010, AM 1430, 1055 The King. Let the King out at 105theking.com and the Bossman Show at bossmanshow.com. Hit me up on Instagram, The Bossman Show, Twitter at Bossman Show, and Facebook, Bossman Show. It's the Bossman on your radio.
Listen to the Bossman Show with your host, JR, Saturdays at 9 a.m. right here on AM 1010, The King.
BS3 Network, changing the way you watch TV.
Yes, BS3 Network, changing the way you watch TV, covering content and hot topics from A to Z, sports, music, society and culture, movie reviews, you name it, we have it. Check it out on bs3network.com or check us out on Roku, BS3 TV on Roku, as well as check out your favorite podcast on all podcast platforms or Spreaker.com/BS3 Network.
You are now tuned to BS3 Network.
Folks, back on the Bossman Show, friend of the show, going down to Grambling, Louisiana, talk to Coach Mickey Joseph of those Tigers of the Grambling State down there. Coach, what's up, brother? I know it's about that time of year for he's about ready to get going here this week.
No, the coaches got back today, and so we're gonna work on this afternoon, work on scripts and work on individual plans and get ready for the kids. The kids will be back on Thursday.
And Coach, I'm asking, man, how was a spring ball for you guys? Kind of getting a feel for what you had, and kind of seeing what you got, doing some workouts to get they got their break. So, how was this offseason ball been for you guys so far?
Well, it's pretty good because 62% of this roster is going on the third year with us, and I always say that because it's totally ironic during these times of the transfer portal that you can keep all your kids. But, since I've been here, we don't had, 9 one-score losses. So we had to look at those 9 one-score losses and say, okay, what we can have done better in 4 minutes. When the defense get on the field, they're in 2 minutes. So guess what? We in the spring, we made sure that we did a lot of 4 minutes and a lot of 2-minute drives just to make sure that the kids was in that situation so they know this is what we need to do. Even if your coach forget, you should remember what you need to do because we put you in that situation. So we just try to get better in that aspect of the football game and, and continue to develop the quarterback position. And we feel good about that with Jacoby Robertson, Ashton Fry, and, RJ came in. So we good with those guys. And then Hayden Benoit, who ended the year last year, he's back also. And the kid, Skylar Turnbull from Oklahoma City is a really good kid who I think he's the talented one. I think he's the one that, he's 6'2", 190. He's built like Michael Vick, got an arm like Michael Vick, but he's the talented one, but he's young. So, you got to, when you do play him, they're going to take him anyway. So, and we understand that. His family understands that. But we feel good about that position. And when you feel good about that position, I think you can have a decent football team.
When people know what's coming, they know it's about execution. They know what's coming. So talk about the piece of coach having your team execute despite the defense loading the box, knowing what's coming, and still be able to make the right blocks, whether it be a combo block, inside zone, split zone, whatever you're running. And just execution to have that play to get those yards, keep that clock going for you.
Well, that's the big thing is executing. And I think the easiest way to do it on offense is the way we did it at Nebraska, just hand the football off and put it in the belly of the running back and make sure that we get the hat on the hat. And we execute in the RPO game, and when it's time to throw it, we throw it when we want to. And on defense, hey, play good defense like we've been doing. But we got to rest these guys up. They played a lot of minutes since I've been here. The defense have. So we're going to try to get away from just throwing it around the park and try to say, let's take on run blocks instead of taking off a minute 30 on the clock, try to take up 3 minutes and 30 seconds with running the ball. So we had to change the philosophy that I really like, and I like putting it in the air. But right now, I got to do what's best for this football team. And the best thing for this football team, because we're defensive led, is to hold them on the bench and let them rest up and run this football with these six backs that we have.
No doubt, good coach. I'm trying to tell these young men who are running backs, you might get 3 yards in the first quarter, but in the fourth quarter it becomes 7, 8, 9, 20, because you keep pounding on them and pounding on them. They go and break. They only got so much gas in that tank. And so you keep hitting them with that, you eventually get the break you need.
Yes, and I think that's you're right. You're correct about that. If you keep leaning on them, and you keep leaning on them, and if you keep leaning on them, then guess what? Sooner or later they're going to break. Sooner or later they're going to break, and yeah, sooner or later they're going to break. So that's what we had to eventually come to our thoughts and say, okay, this is best for this football team, and we're gonna play good special teams. We know that, but we want to play good offense. We want to have a good running game.
And coach, talk about how important it is to have your receivers engaged in the running game. Some where it's not just a playoff. They actually are blocking, cracking, cutting when they have to. So actually been a part of that run game. So you can down the road when they creep up and load the box, pop them.
Yeah, and we do. We have a lot of stuff built in when we want to run routes, and we also have stuff built in when we want them to block. But the big thing, like tell them as a receiver, if you're a dude, you won't have to never block this dude, because wherever you take this dude's going to go, because the defensive back guy is programmed to follow the guy that he has if he has a man. If he has in zone, then he's going to his zone. But if you're a dude, he gonna follow you and locate you. Always can take a safety out, and we always want to give you some vertical push by our receivers, because now you don't know if they're blocking or you don't know if they're running RPO. So we mix it up pretty good. Reggie Moore does a really good job with our receivers. So we just got to continue to keep pushing them forward. We happy with Tyson George coming back. We got Bam over from Atlanta. Bam's a big time player for us, and he can do it all. And we have some new guys coming in also, like Tavius Murphy, Cody Finley, and Robo, Dylan Robowski, our one kid that we got from Langston. So we feel good about the receivers also, but we feel better about the offensive line.
No doubt. That line's so important, Coach Joseph, because if you can't block, you can't get nothing done no way. So talk about your line coach and really scheming these guys up, teaching them the right things and how to block and how to right pass pro, run block, and kind of just be ready for whatever, and also be able to identify man zone and who's coming, who's not, based on film work and study.
Well, the thing about it is that one thing they can do in this league is rush the passer. So now we want to see if you can take on run blocks. Coach Losey's gone in the second season with this group. This group's going to be a well improved group, because they stay second year with him. They understand exactly what he wants. He's a technician. He wants everything to be. He's technique sound, and we want to make sure we get a hat on a hat. And once we get a hat on a hat, then we're going to leave it up to the backs. And far as pass blocking, we're going to help him out much as we have to. Like I tell him all the time, it's no secret. Your best pass rusher is going to get chipped. He's going to get hit in his ribs. And I want to see how many times he wants to rush, getting hit in his ribs, because that's not a fun thing to do. So we're going to make sure we slow things down. When we're not going to let you just rush off the passer and have the pride and say, no, we're going to block him one-on-one. If we can't block him one-on-one, we're going to get the kids some help. But other than that, we're going to make them take on run blocks and make them see how tough they are.
No doubt. And with the games these linemen play, Coach Joseph, try to get those heavy sides, get that 3-on-1, kind of run those TE stunts and stuff. Talk about trying to get your young men to really lock in on the games linemen play on the defensive side of the ball. Because when you go around heavy, you try to get 3-on-1 and run them stunts, man. Some of them linemen get confused, as you and I both know.
Well, when we do get line stunts, we collect them as they come. And worst things, the defense, 3 technique, moving over from the B gap to the A gap, and somebody hit ear holding one good time because he can't see him coming. So one thing about movement up front, we want movement up front because we're going to zone that anyway. And we're just going to collect them as we get to them. And like you said, try to collect the hat on a hat and let the back do the rest. But our defensive line do a great job of movement. So our offensive line see it all the time. And they spend about 25, 30 minutes a day at practice just on movement, just on one-on-one blocking, pass one-on-one pass blocks, movement on the twist, and like you said, the TE stunts, with the passing. So we spend a lot of time on that with the offensive line and the D line. And Coach Zachary and Coach Varner, they do a good job with the D line with working with Coach Losey.
And you know what, Coach Joseph, with the coach talent and the swag with yourself and other coaches, I feel like it's just a shame that our boys have to go the undrafted free agent route. They can't get drafted straight out because it's so much talented coaches in the swag, so much talent on these rosters, and they've been coached up very, very well. Talk about you all as a coaching collective trying to figure out how to get these young men drafted. Well, better have to go the hard way, which is no problem, but the undrafted free agent route, but to maybe get one over 12 at least drafted in the 5th through 7th rounds, maybe.
Well, you hear straight from the NFL. If they end with us, sometimes they don't think that they're really good players, and you might get a kid who just say, "Hey, I want to show loyalty, and I want to stay. I want to stay at the HBCUs." But they offer them so much money that we can't compete with it. But I tell kids all the time, while you're chasing that bag, make sure you're not missing out on the right fit, because the bag might be there, but the right fit might not be there. You might get a coach that don't care two things about you, but he's giving you the money. So do you really want to be there when you left a place like Grambling, where they care about your well-being and how you and what you're doing every day, and that you're doing things the right way, instead of just paying you, saying, "Hey, we just gonna pay you to come here to be a backup." And the kids leaving this conference got to understand that. Don't leave this conference to go be a second and a third string guy. If you leave this conference, go be a first string. But they're paying them. They're paying them $250,000, 400,000, 500,000. So kids are chasing that bag because you're talking to 18 and 19-year-olds, and the oldest is 21. But we do a good job in the SWAC. They can say what they want. We the developers now. We're not the recruiters anymore. Because before we was the recruiters, they're the recruiters now. Because now what they doing, they recruiting, but they're recruiting with money. They're not recruiting the old school way when you had to recruit with relationships. So now we're developing the kids, and you come and get our kids. I'm good with that, because I think as HBCU coaches, we always had to develop kids, because we don't get the talent, the polished talent like I got at LSU, like I got at Nebraska, like I got at Tech. But now we're doing the developing, and what they're doing, they come and get our kids, and we can't do anything about it because the kids are benefit. But think about it. The kids benefit, the school benefit. The only one left out there is the HBCU with nothing. We don't pay this kid all. We put the little money we do have, we don't pay him. Then when he leaves me, I get nothing to show for it, but just that I'm developing kids to go somewhere else. But that's why I don't give them a whole bunch of money, and I pay them when I want to. Because my thing is, you got to want to be at Grambling, not because of money. You got to want to be here, because that's life in general. You're not going to work for AT&T because they pay you more money. You're going to stay at T-Mobile because T-Mobile is a place, got beautiful people in the building. They care about you. Go to AT&T, you just you just a last four digits of Social Security. I went to one of those schools, where I was 3097. They didn't know my name, but at Grambling, we know those kids' names. I know those kids' parents' names. I know where they're from. I know what makes them tick. I know what they like to eat. But at these other schools, they got to understand, when they leave us, they're not gonna get that, because it's really a business for them over there. It's not a HBCU business. We're about developing players, developing kids, regular students, and at Grambling is a place where everybody's somebody, and everybody can't say that.
No doubt, Coach. I'll give you an example. Being at Tennessee State, go over to Vanderbilt, it's a difference how they treat it. Tennessee State, a lot of people knew my name. They never knew who I was. But the Vanderbilt players, like, you just a regular old dude, go to Vanderbilt. We're 3 miles away, but it's a family environment. They look down upon Tennessee State in Nashville. But
Yes.
overall, that's a family environment. Vanderbilt says you're just a person.
Yeah, we tell our kids all the time. Sometimes you gotta look in the mirror and identify what you see in the mirror. So they might identify with me, then they might not identify with other coaches. But the other coach, he's playing, he's in the game. He's got the money. They don't want to leave. Like, the big thing is this with the HBCUs, and I'm sure everybody's going through it. See, when they're done at those schools over there, they transfer all the hours back to Grambling and graduate from Grambling. Make that make sense.
Mm-hmm.
So we got to do something. We got to do something to put our chips together and say, hey, HBCUs, this is what we're going to give them. You don't have no more than I have, because at the end of the day, we all losing. We all losing. We all losing good players, because when I lose a player to the portal, it's a starter. It's not a backup. You know, if say Ohio State or LSU lose a kid to the portal, well, it might be a backup. But when I lose them, and I've lost 15 of them since I've been here, they're all starters. They all over. You know, New Mexico State, Old Dominion, Ole Miss, they're all over. You know, and it's nothing we can do about it, but stay in the game with them, and try to do right by them when they're here with us.
No doubt, 100%, coach. And I'll see you playing Clark Atlanta here right in my backyard on August 29th. And you're going to be playing Central State, and then you go on the road to TCU. So talk about those three non-conference games, helping out the D2s in the SIAC, and going to get you all a little bit of back TCU over there in Fort Worth.
Well, you got to be careful with these D2s, because, you know, I know Terry Sims personally, and I know Terry Sims going to have them boys ready to play. You know, and, you know, it's going to be a lot of unscouted looks. You know, we going back and going to look and see, you know, what Terry did when he was at Bethune, what he did when he was at Alabama State, you know, because he was still involved. He was still called the DFO, but he was still the general man, whatever he was, but he was still involved with the X's and O's, because you wouldn't have him there and not have him involved. So we respect Terry. We respect Ash Green, who played here at Grambling. He's the offensive coordinator. So you know, it's going to be a drag out dogfight, because it's the first game of the season, and that's the best thing about it, is that we respect those guys. You know, we respect Central State. My kids going to respect, because we had our hands full last year with Kentucky State. So what makes it any different? You know, because now we got to be prepared with unscouted looks. You got to let your rules take over. But it's a wonderful thing. And, you know, going to TCU, we know what it is. It's a money game. It's a money game, and all HBCUs have to play them. So we excited about that game also. But right now we're gonna work on ourselves for the next 2 weeks, and towards the middle of the month we'll start getting ready for Clark Atlanta, and then Central State shortly after that.
And Coach Joseph Maskins, man, and for you, going into year 3, talk about just the development of your program and your culture, and how just getting these young men to see the visions you had when you came in 2 years ago, then going to year 3 here. So talk about just the support of the community as well, and how they've been behind you as you develop this program, this culture here at Grambling.
Well, I take my hat off to my administration by giving me an extension, and seeing my vision, because, you know, I'm like anybody else that comes in as a head coach. You know, we want to win right away, not just for yourself. You want to win for the fans, because the people at Grambling deserve to win. So I appreciate my administration for, you know, seeing my vision, what we want to do. But right now, just focus and finish. We hadn't finished. We got to finish. We got to finish games. If we finish games, that's 9 wins compared to 9 losses. That's 9 wins. But that shows you that we're right there. And I always say we're right there with other people's kids. You know, now this staff, this is our kids. This is our kids. These the kids that we sat in the living room. These the kids that we handpicked. Because when you come in year 1 and year 2, you're still playing with people from the previous staff. You know, so we had to fix that problem. So now we got the kids in there that we picked, and now they understand what we want to do. And like I said, 62% of these guys been with us. You know, the coach has been the first staff that you had. Okay, we made some moves from there. The second staff, we didn't have to make any moves, but one of our guys went to Bowie, and one of our guys went to SMU. So we have the majority of the staff back this year. So everything's going smooth. Just like the staff meeting this morning, it was really a lot to tell those guys, because they've been here. You know, so they've been here. But right now we want to focus and we want to finish. We always want to tell them this. At the end of the day, we Grambling. We're going to get everybody the best shot, no matter what. We're going to get everybody the best shot. You know, we we're the history of HBCU football. And then people say, oh, y'all cocky. No, we the history. Without Grambling, it wouldn't be no HBCU history. Who else they talk about when they talk about history? But that's here we say, PV. Tremaine doing a great job there. They're not the old PV. People got to stop saying they're the old PV. They're not. They're never going to be. As long as that guy sits there, they're never going to be. And my job right now is to get Grambling back to where we're supposed to be, and that's to the top. And we headed that way.
No doubt. And Coach Maskins, man, about financial management for your guys. I know with getting rail share now and NIL, guys don't realize they're now 1099s now. So about trying to teach your guys about financial literacy and understand that what little money do they need to save it. It's not just something you just can blow through when it's done. You really got to save this money and cherish it, because you're kind of an employee now, because you're paying taxes on this money you get.
Yeah, I tell them like this. This is not money to get rich money. This is life start money, where you start with, you get your life started. You're looking at all those kids that's getting millions of dollars, guys buying this girl $20,000 worth of purses. I would have never did that if I was at his age. Well, I don't even know her like that. But he don't see the long story. But the only thing about that kid, he's the first round draft pick, so he gonna blow that money. He gonna blow it. But my kids, I tell them they gotta take this money, they gotta put this money away, they gotta invest it, because I pay them like the NFL. I pay them during the season. I don't pay them in the off season. Off season, they got to live on a scholarship, because that now you want to see who's budgeting and who's not budgeting. And I tell them all the time, you can't send all this money back home, because you don't get enough to send all of it back home. Everybody at home got to work just like you working, and you got to hold everybody accountable. And if they calling you every month for money, you got to tell them go get a job, because you don't have the money to give them. So we talk to our kids about that. We bring Origin Bank in, we bring Chase Bank in to speak to them about putting the money away and investing their money. And most of our kids do a good job of that, because I think we have a good system. I don't feel like I should pay you in the off season, because you can tell me, kiss my behind, I ain't working out, but you got my money. And you know how hard it is to take these kids to court and get that money back? Like, they're talking about this one school owes these kids these buyouts. Man, they ain't never getting that money back from them kids.
Mm-hmm.
They ain't never getting that money back from the kid. You do well to drop that. I mean, it wasn't a solid move when they made the move. So guess what? Ain't no honor among thieves.
No doubt, Coach. You got that right, Coach. I got two more for you, Coach, and for you, Coach. I got a question for my interns here. I got two interns here with me. One of them wants to ask you, Coach, what is the most enjoyable part about your job that does not involve the football piece?
Just getting to know my players outside of football. Hearing their struggles, and the academic part, seeing them graduate, because at the end of the day, I know we talk about shared revenue. Nobody's talking about graduating anymore, and that's what's going to help our little black boys. I always tell them like that, and for the white kids also, but for the black boys, the black young men that go to school here at HBCUs, keep your head in your books, get your degree. And that's what I enjoy watching them graduate. I go to all their graduations, and I smile when I go in there, because I know that I wasn't the best student at Nebraska. I know I wasn't, but I tell them my stories, and I say, I'm not going to let you go down the same path. So watching them graduate, and watching them after they done, like some of them that become better fathers, or the ones whose fathers here, that we get them and they're a little shaky, because they're 19 years old and they got a 2-year old, so they're a little shaky, but they depend on you to help them to be the father that they can be. And that's the things I enjoy with them outside of football. But you know what? They put so much emphasis on football right now that you forget about that they're human beings. And at the end of the day, football is going to be gone. So it's going to be the lessons I taught them outside of football. Hey, you need to be there for your kid. I wasn't there for my kid because I was working. You need to be there for your kids. So things of that sort. That's one of the big things, is seeing them prosper outside the building, as outside of football, and graduation.
That's one they got for you, Coach. Is this one that she wants to know, Coach? Because Coach Joseph, if you wasn't in a football coach, what would your career path be?
If I wasn't a football coach, what would I be? Oh shoot, I'd be a rapper. That's all I need is a beat. Because these dudes can't rap. I'll be a rapper. Just give me a beat and I'll say the same thing over and over again. You know, no, I would hope I would be a rapper, but you know what? That's a hard career right there. But you know what? If I wasn't coaching, I'd probably be just working somewhere down in the city of New Orleans, having a good time. Having a good time. Might own a couple of properties, something like that. But I wouldn't be doing too much blue collar stuff. I'll tell you that much.
I hear that, Coach. I see you got on the Marlins hat. I got on the Brave hat. So we division rivals, NFC, AFC,
Hey,
and L East,
hey,
man.
no. I got this because I need a haircut.
Oh, okay. I thought you were a Marlins fan. I said, hey, Coach is a
Nah,
Marlins fan?
nah. I'm a Miami fan because my boy Kaz and Cristobal and D Train's there on that staff, so I'm good with them. But like I said, I was in Atlanta for the NFL symposium with Shaq and Doug, and it was real nice. And Atlanta's a big time city. During that time, y'all had the World Cup. So I was one of all these foreigners. I was like, what are all these foreigners doing in Atlanta? But it was the World Cup going on. So Atlanta's a beautiful city, man. Is a great city, and I'm hoping one day that we can move a game there and play Clark there or play one of the Atlanta schools there in Atlanta, because we have a big fan base out there. And I think that even without the Grambling fan base, I think we still get pack the stadium because people want to see good HBCU football. And you don't see a whole bunch of it that just want to come to Atlanta and play a game in Atlanta every year. And I'm trying to say, can we do a MEAC SWAC challenge? You need to get on top of that, where you play a MEAC SWAC game at 3 and come back and play another one at 7 and get them in that old Mercedes soup that dome over there. But you got to be creative when you're HBCU. We got to figure out how to make money, because one thing about our fans, they're gonna find our games. And we learned that from ESPN Plus, that the HBCU football is big. They just don't put us on the big stage. But they knew if they put us on the big stage, we're gonna have bigger crowd base than the MAC, for sure. That we're gonna have more people. We might have more people than the Sun Belt, for sure. So they need to let us roll. They need to put us on ESPN and stop putting us on Plus, so they can see we play good football. We play good football in the SWAC, and we have people that come out, and we appreciate our fans and everybody that support HBCU football, because it's real. It's real football. It's great football. We got great coaches. We got great players. We got good administrations. But the thing about it, some people sleep on us, and we can't help that. But we appreciate everything that we have, and my thing is with Grambling, either you're with us or you're against us. So if you're with us, you're with us. If you're not, you're not. We bless you.
No doubt, Coach Joseph. Hopefully, we'll see your Celebration Bowl in December after a great year. Hopefully, you get to play the Atlanta this year Celebration Bowl. Hopefully.
And you get the first interview as soon as I touch down.
Hey, I'll be right at the Hotel Senior Army, brother. I'm the right way.
I know you will. I know you will. The right side of the Army, not the front part, not the back part.
No doubt. No doubt. Hey, Coach, thank you for your time as always, brother. Have a great year, man. I hope to talk to you real soon.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
Anytime, Coach.
BS3 Network. Changing the way you watch TV.
Yes, BS3 Network, changing the way you watch TV, covering content and hot topics from A to Z, sports, music, society and culture, movie reviews, you name it, we have it. Check it out on bs3network.com or check us out on Roku, BS3 TV on Roku, as well as check out your favorite podcast on all podcast platforms or Spreaker.com/BS3 Network.
You are now tuned to BS3 Network.
What's up, family? Gerald the Bossman here. You're tuned into the Bossman Show on AM 1010, AM 1430, 1055 The King. Let the King out at 105theking.com and the Bossman Show at bossmanshow.com. Hit me up on Instagram, The Bossman Show, Twitter at Bossman Show, and Facebook, Bossman Show. It's the Bossman on your radio.
Listen to The Bossman Show with your host, JR, Saturdays at 9 a.m. right here on AM 1010, The King.